You are listening to the E2C Network, where the Auburn family speaks.
War Eagle Auburn family, and welcome back to Inside the Jungle, your source for Auburn men's basketball analysis and discussion. And today we are here to discuss what happened last week, Thanksgiving week, at the Battle for Atlantis. Your Auburn Tigers go 2-1, picking up 2 good wins, and some will say one good and hard-fought loss in the Battle for Atlantis, playing 3 really good basketball teams, getting 3 really good games, and improving their resume. And I think they improved a lot. And to do that, brought my dad back in here, my co-host. Dad, how are you doing?
Good. How are you, son?
I'm good. We are recording this on the Monday after the supposed Iron Bowl and the week of Thanksgiving, where your Auburn Tigers went to the Bahamas to play in the Battle for Atlantis. So in this game, we've got matched up with the UConn Huskies first, and we'll kind of go game by game here, talk about each 3 games, talk about stats, talk about what we thought of each 3 games. Then we'll kind of discuss the tourney in general and get some thoughts around the program. And
look forward to a revenge game Wednesday night.
Yeah. So UConn, that is an experienced basketball team. Auburn takes one on the chin in double overtime. Talk about a hard-fought, stat-building type of game. They lose 115-109. And I was extremely disappointed in the outcome of this game. But as looking back on it, almost a week later, I think that is as good of a loss as you could ask for.
This was the game that scared me the most going into the tournament. I didn't think we matched up well with UConn. We had talked after the South Florida game about bigger, stronger guards who are going to get in your face, and they had bigger, stronger guards who are going to get in their face. We did get one thing wrong. We dared people to shoot over Walker Kessler and their 6'10" semi-truck. I don't remember his name, but
Sanogo.
He shot over Walker Kessler. He shot around Walker Kessler. He shot for the first half. He had their first 10 points.
He had their first 10 points. And he ended up with 30 on the night. He did not shoot the ball as efficiently as he kind of slowed down in the second half. He went 12 of 25, actually, with 6 boards and 30 points. But, I mean, he's going to do that to a lot of people because he is a strong young man. I agree. And, man, let's just start this off. This Auburn basketball team showed why they're going to be really good, especially when you get Alan Flanagan back in this loss, I think. You talk about guys like Katie Johnson, went for 27 points. Jabari Smith, 22 points, 12 of 12 from the free throw line. Walker had his first double-double, 14 and 10. I think he had like 5 blocks as well. Wendell shooting 4 of 8 from 3, having 19 points. Jalen coming off the bench with 12. Zepp having 9. Cambridge knocking down a 3, hallelujah.
Hallelujah, right.
You just look at this team and you're going, that's one on the chin. And we've talked about in the previous podcast, this team's going to lose games, especially in the SEC. But this team is improving. They're meshing together. You can kind of see it in this tournament. You kind of saw it through these 3 games.
Yeah, Bruce Pearl said before the tournament his goal was for his team to get punched in the mouth.
Yeah.
They got up early on UConn, and then UConn punched them in the mouth over and over again for about another half of that game. And we're up 11 with 11:28, whatever, or up 15 with 11:28 to go in the game. And Bruce said, I want after being punched in the mouth. And they responded by really having that game won in overtime. Up to guy going to the foul line, makes the first one for UConn. Then I think, he accidentally missed the second one and can't secure a rebound. And they hit a 3 and they go up 2. And then Katie Johnson goes, just give me the dang ball. I've got this.
Yeah.
And which is just really cool to witness a kid like that can look, he just said, I'm not going to lose like this. And he did it again at the end of the first overtime, by the way. Wow.
Yeah, let's talk about Katie Johnson for just a second. Nobody thought he would do what he did against UConn, or really in this whole tournament. and we'll get to that, in the future, and we talk about here in a second. But KD Johnson was spectacular. He was unbelievable. He's the reason we stayed in that game for multiple different reasons, whether it's on the offensive end, whether it's those clutch plays, whether it's his 3-point, he made those 2 threes, those 2 clutch threes in the overtime, whether it's the steals that he's getting, whatever. He was the reason we were in this game.
He's so much fun to watch.
Yeah,
and he did a lot of things. It was just that kid hit that 3 to put them up 2 after getting the rebound on that free throw.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh no, it's about 8 seconds left. And they didn't call timeout, which I think is smart because you don't give them a chance to set up, and proved to be accurate. They weren't set up, and KD just attacked them.
Yeah.
Full court, all the way down, laid it up, going to overtime. And then at the end of the first overtime, that poor child, number 24, they're up 2. All he's got to do is catch it and get fouled, and he fumbles it right into KD's hands about 3/4 court, and KD does exactly the same thing. I'm not passing it. I'm not pulling up. I'm either going to go to the free throw line or we're going to tie this ball game up.
That's right.
And he's like a truck when he's like Sean Shivers when he gets that in his head. So yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and we also before we move on to the other games, talk about the wins from this tournament. We're taking this first loss. When you lose a game like this, it's gut-wrenching, it's heartbreaking, it's a little disappointing, but you can't blame anything. That they just won the game. They made one more play than we did, and that's how it's going to be. But the importance of playing in a game like that, on a neutral floor, against a very experienced and very good UConn team. That UConn team would win a lot of games in the Big East. Yep. Play a tournament team like that in a game like that is so important, especially for a team like Auburn, who's not really meshed together yet. A lot of new guys, a lot of transfers, a lot of really young. I don't know if we have our best player yet. You mesh together in a game like this, and you win or lose, you appreciate a game like this.
Well, and for what it's worth, the announcers even mentioned several times during the game that Jabari Smith was growing up before our eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And he did in that game, because in the next 2 games, he was the best player in the tournament.
Yeah.
And he literally grew up in that game and realized, okay, this is big boy basketball. We've been playing some teams that we could beat. And coach said he wanted us to get punched in the mouth. We got punched in the mouth. And I told you, I think maybe last time we were talking, when he's on the floor, I think we have a chance to win. It was like when Cam Newton was playing football at Auburn. Anytime he was on the field, I felt like we had a better than average shot of winning the football game.
Yeah.
When Jabari's on the floor, we got a pretty good shot at winning.
I agree. I think that's the perfect way to say that.
And it was the game of the year.
It was.
For about 2 days.
Yeah.
And then Gonzaga and Duke played, and that became the game of the year.
Yeah.
Which we saw 2 guys that are fighting with Jabari to be the number 1 player next year, and the Duke kid is special.
Yeah, he is.
I think Jabari's better than the kid out of Gonzaga, but that Duke player, that dude is, golly.
He's really good.
And I hate saying that because I hate Duke. Sorry.
Yeah. Oh, we'll go ahead and get our player of the game, because we will do like a player of the game for each of the 3 games.
Okay.
But we will do a tournament MVP, and I think I stole yours on that. May have not. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. Who you got?
So for this UConn game, I'm going to go with KD as the player of the game. The reason we were in that game, 27 points. That's a career high for him. That's a special coming out party for KD Johnson right there on the offensive side and the defensive side.
Yeah, he put his name in the hat as somebody that other teams are going to have to guard.
Yeah.
And worry about, because he doesn't just guard his man. If Jabari or Walker's man turns his back to KD's coming from behind and trying to poke the ball out. And he's very, very successful. He averaged, 4.5 steals during that tournament?
Yeah.
A game?
14 steals in the 3 games.
3 games. Good God.
He's also at 20 steals for the season, and the team leader last year was Alan Flanagan with 24 all of last year.
Yeah, he's doing pretty good. He's a good. Yeah. He would be my player of the game too. But since you chose him, I'm going to go with the guy that went 12 of 12 from the free throw line as a true freshman in the biggest game he's played in yet. Yeah. And Kyle Loomis would appreciate a kid stepping up to the free throw line and knocking in 12 out of 12. 12 times he went to the line, 12 times they went in, and none of them were close. Yeah. And he's the best player on the court. He may not be our MVP at the end of the year. Our MVP may be still sitting on the sidelines right now. Yeah. But Jabari is the best player on the team.
Yeah. We'll go ahead and go in. We'll talk for just a little bit about the second game we played against an interesting matchup here.
Tournament team.
It's a tournament team. It's a team that everybody loved about 2 years ago when they went to the Final Four. In Loyola-Chicago, the Ramblers. And when I saw that we were going to play Loyola because they had lost to Michigan State and we had lost to UConn. So I saw that we were going to play Loyola. I was like, oh no, that's a team that is very, very experienced and very good at shooting threes.
Very good.
Very good at shooting threes. And that extremely worried me because I was like, they're experienced, they're going to be able to get open and they can knock down anytime they get open. So it scared me. But I wanted to see Auburn respond. And I don't know if we responded well early in that game. I think you saw a little fatigue from the 2 overtime game the day before. I think you saw that with UConn as well in their next game, and they played Michigan State.
There's no doubt, yeah.
But I mean, that's just part of it. You know, we're going to have to face that when it comes to SEC tournament time and NCAA tournament time. But your Auburn Tigers win by 9 against Loyola-Chicago, 62-53. Really not a lot, to discuss here. It was a low-scoring game. Loyola did not play as well as I thought they would play. They didn't shoot the ball well at all. They went 4 of 9 from the free throw line, 7 of 23 from 3. I thought they would be a lot better at both of those. And if they were, they would have beat us. So
they didn't have the size to compete with us either. Their big guy looked like a 12-year-old. I don't know his name. Big white kid that can play. Yeah. But he's designed to be out on the perimeter.
Yeah.
And when we went inside, which we could do with regularity, they just didn't have the horses. And you're right, they didn't shoot as well from 3 as I thought they would either. The little point guard is a really good shooter, but Zepp and Wendell just wouldn't let him breathe, especially in the second half.
Yeah, I completely agree. And you just look at the complexion of the game. I just kind of think Auburn kind of wore him down towards the end of the game. It's just we will do that to teams like that.
It was 9 points. It felt like a lot more than that.
It did. It did.
Felt like we were way farther ahead than that.
I agree. And this game was also on Thanksgiving, so a lot of people were enjoying Thanksgiving. I hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving, by the way. But I don't know. You look at this game, there's not really – it's a good bounce-back win. It's good to get a little – you struggled from 3. You went 5 of 18. You went 9 of 14 from the free throw line. But, I mean, you out-rebounded this team by 10. You just when we went inside the paint, when we got offensive rebounds, there wasn't any chance.
Well, and our boy Walker Kessler, 13 points, 10 boards. That was his first, or did he have double-double? He had double-double in the game before too, but 13 and 10, I'll take from that big boy, especially since he finally made a 3-point shot.
He did. He finally made a 3-point shot against them. I know we don't have it on our stat sheet right now, but not only did Walker have 13 and 10, I think he had like 4 or 5 blocks as well, which just adds another complexion to this Auburn defense. We always talk about the guards and KD and Zepp and Wendell and Devin getting up in those guys on the perimeter. If you blow by that guy, you got to go up against a 7'1", 7'2" kid that's gifted at blocking shots.
It's a real benefit as a guard, and you can speak more to this than I could, but as a guard to know, okay, I can be as aggressive on my guy as I want to be, because if he gets me by a step, there's a guy that will erase my mistake standing behind me. That's and right. He's big, he's long, he has good timing. I still think the officials call some fouls on him that they're anticipating him fouling, and he doesn't. But they blow the whistle anyway because they're like, well, I'm sure he probably fouled.
That's interesting, the way that you say they anticipate the foul just because he's a lot bigger than the guy, and he wants to block the shots, and he's going to try and block the shots. So they're anticipating the foul no matter what. Yeah. That's interesting because I saw that a lot at North Carolina when he was playing in North Carolina a lot last year. And you see that with a lot of guys in the NBA as well. Well, they'll go up to block the shot, and the referee's blowing the whistle before the ball's even touched.
Yeah. So first heard that expression when Jordan came out into the NBA, and officials used to call traveling on him on his first step, and it was just because they've never seen somebody be able to do that at that size that quickly, and so they just blew the whistle, going, "I'm pretty sure he's got to be traveling."
Yeah,
I mean, it's got to be. So pretty sure Walker fouled that guy because look how long and big he is, and there's no way that didn't happen without a foul. But I think Walker's pretty good at not fouling as long as they call him, and not to complain about officials. That's just I just think that they anticipate the call sometimes.
I agree.
Go ahead.
We'll go ahead and end the discussion on that one because I'm excited to talk about the last
player of the game. Player of the game. Player of the game.
Player of the game. Obviously,
your player of the game.
I'm going with Walker Kessler. I just I think going inside with him in that game, him getting 10 boards, the versatility he has on defense to block shots like that, he's going to add a different dimension to this Auburn team, and I'm excited. So he gets that one.
So I'm going with Wendell Green Jr.
Okay.
Wendell started coming off the bench these two games, and I think it has helped him immensely to kind of see the flow of the game before he comes in the game. And he came in the game, scored 10 points, and gave out 4 assists. But the biggest thing there is he got 4 rebounds. He's the littlest guy on the floor. He got 4 rebounds. Walker had 10, and there were several other people who had 4, but he was one of them. So he's learning his role coming off the bench. I think that's put KD in the starting lineup, put Wendell on the bench, and bring Wendell in with some guys. Williams and Moore and some of these Cardwell, some of these guys, he can really change. There's not a backup point guard that's going to be able to stay with him. Yeah, really anywhere.
That's true.
So he's pretty good backup point guard. Anyway, that's my player of the game.
Yeah, that's a great one. I didn't even think about that. That's a great one.
Hey Auburn fans, I want to take a quick timeout from this episode to bring your attention to something very special. Here at the E2C Network, we pride ourselves on bringing you the best content for Auburn fans out there. And best of all, it's free to you. But just because it's free doesn't mean there aren't costs, especially when you have a library of hundreds of podcasts, videos, blogs, and more. Many of you have reached out and asked how you can support this network in the past. Well, now I have your answer. It's called the E2C Network Booster Club over at patreon.com/E2C Network. There you'll find a membership monthly reward system where you can sign up for as little as $1 and get different perks at different tiers. Some of those perks include things such as apparel, eligibility to join us on future podcasts, recognition as an E2C Network booster, exclusive communications, and bonus content that is available nowhere else. If you love this network and want to help us keep producing podcasts like this one, please head on over to patreon.com/E2C Network to join the E2C Network Booster Club. You can also get there by going to our website, e2cnetwork.com/support. Whether you decide to join or not, we are still so appreciative that you would support us by just listening and being here, because each and every one of you is part of our E2C Network family. Well, that's it. Timeout's over. Let's get back into the episode.
We'll go ahead and get on into the last game, the domination of the Cuse. Auburn beats Syracuse Friday by 21, 89-68. And I was actually on my way back to Auburn from Thanksgiving for the first half of the game. I was able to watch the second half. Look, respect to Syracuse. I don't like Syracuse. I don't like Syracuse at all. Respect to Syracuse. Stop playing that zone. Auburn just exposed that zone the whole game, the entire game. And if you got a player like Jabari Smith, it's kind of easy. But,
yeah. With that zone, he tries so hard. His goal with that zone is to keep the guards from penetrating.
Yeah.
So he moves his low post guys out of the lane, and he drops his center into the restricted arc underneath the basket. And what that does is it creates this gigantic hole at the free throw line. And if you have a player who's pretty good at a free throw line jumper, can make good decisions, has a high basketball IQ, and is aggressive, you can kill that. Again, Carolina fan here. When Carolina had Theo Pinson several years ago, Theo was that guy. When Auburn had Marquise Daniels, who was sitting on the bench for this game, he tortured that Syracuse zone. But the problem is they had Carmelo Anthony on the other side, who couldn't miss in the Sweet 16 game. But it's not hard to beat that zone. And Auburn put on a clinic on how to do it. You want to talk about laying out a blueprint on how to beat somebody?
Hey,
ACC. Yeah. Watch what we did. I know you don't have a Jabari Smith, but that kid from Duke will torture Syracuse at the free throw line.
Yeah.
So,
look.
Yeah, I agree. It's outdated.
You watch this game and you cannot tell me that Jabari is not the best player in the SEC anymore. You said it earlier, and the commentator said it in the UConn game. You want to see Jabari Smith grow up right in front of your eyes, and this tournament is the perfect example of somebody growing up right in front of your eyes. That dude played spectacular.
Both ends of the floor.
Yeah,
both ends of the floor. So Syracuse got a good big man, and we put Jabari on him a lot, but Jabari getting that ball. At first, I kind of wanted to see KD run that in the middle of that zone, and he flashed in there a couple times because he just has been more aggressive. But when you've got a 6'10 Jabari throwing alley-oops to a 6'10 Dylan Cardwell, it's just I mean, there's not a lot of teams. I can tell you one thing. Not a lot of teams will play 2-3 against us.
No.
Because Jabari Smith, yes, he grew up. He went into the middle of the zone. He flashed out to hit threes. He airballed a three, and then the next time down, he nailed the same three and went to Coach Boeheim and told him that you can't F with me anymore, and got teed up for it, and said it was a emotional game for his teammates, and he had gotten fired up, and it wasn't like him, and he deserved the technical. He deserved the technical, but that bench had been chirping at him the whole game, and it was emotional. Nobody would answer this truthfully, but back last April, when Walker left Carolina, Jim Boeheim, and I don't know why Jim thinks it was his job to comment on why Walker would leave Carolina, because he's not the Carolina coach. But Jim said something to the effect of Walker's leaving because he's not tough enough to take it at Carolina, or something of that effect. So Jabari, I think, took offense to his teammate being cut down by the opposing coach, and he let him know in no uncertain terms that y'all can all go straight where you don't want to go.
Yeah. Again, this is a game that builds momentum in a undoubtedly way for Auburn, and going in, getting out of, coming back. And, we were at the Iron Bowl Saturday, and all the basketball guys in there, a bunch of basketball recruits were there, and the atmosphere there was great. And so it's so good to see these basketball guys, starting to learn that they are the program. Right now, Auburn basketball is the Auburn program. And we say basketball school, and at some point that is like a joke because of the money going into football right now. But we're the best program right now. Basketball is the best program in Auburn, if you don't count maybe gymnastics, because you have the best gymnast in the world.
She was there too.
Yeah. But you just look at this. I made a comment on my notes. I went to look at the stats in this game. And, you win by 21, you think, oh, that should be pretty dominant. But 21 doesn't show the stat sheet. We won every single stat category I have right beside me. They had many more turnovers. We had more points off of turnovers. We out-rebounded them in both ways. We had more second chance points, more bench points, more points in the paint, more fast break points, more blocks, more steals, and more assists. What?
Yeah, it was utter domination.
The only times they led in this game was early in the game. They would lead occasionally. I just
got up by a couple scores about midway through the first half.
Yeah.
And nothing else after that. And once we figured out, hey, just take your time. You don't have to do anything stupid. On offense. Take your time. Let Jabari flash into the middle. Let him dunk it down to Walker, who dunked it backwards over his head, while looked like standing still, and keep doing it and make free throw line jumpers and attack them. And it was not close. At one point, Wendell Green threw 3 straight alley-oops, to the point where the announcers are like, it's like a dunk fest and like a dunk competition. And then Dylan Cardwell got his alley-oop that made it to SportsCenter top 10 at number 8, a reverse
Devin
dunk
Cambridge.
off an alley-oop. I mean, Devin Cambridge, sorry. I was wanting to talk about Dylan Cardwell because he played so well in this game, probably his best game. But Cambridge's dunk on the alley-oop was fantastic.
Yeah.
So,
and if you want to talk about Cardwell, I mean, 6 points, 6 boards, that's 3 for 3. I completely agree. That's one of his best games, if not the one that he made the 3 on last year. But, but just everybody played extremely well. Leo Behrman came in and hit 2 threes, banked one of them in. Preston Cook had a 3. Chris Moore had 4 points. Jalen had 9 points. Wendell had 5 points. He had 7 assists. Devin had 10 points, made 2 threes. Walker had 6 points. Zepp had 3 points, had 5 assists. And then Katie Johnson had 15 and Jabari had 22.
Yeah, it was dominant. That Syracuse team was a tournament team last year. I don't know that they've got the talent to be a tournament team this year. They kind of are playing, I guess it's rec league ball with his 2 sons being in the starting lineup. Although, look, Buddy's a really good player. He didn't play very well because KD was torturing him. Mm-hmm. And I guess Jimmy is the younger one. Mm-hmm. And he's also a pretty good shooter from what I can tell, but I don't think he took more than 1 or 2 shots. Well, Again, our guards were pestering. Okay. So he made 1.
Yeah.
They'll shoot better than that, but they don't have the dogs to play that zone against ACC teams. Carolina will kill them. Duke will kill them. NC State will kill them. Wake Forest will kill them. Miami, Florida State will kill them. I don't know that they're a tournament team this year. I think the other 2 teams we played this weekend were. I still think Loyola is a tournament team.
I agree, especially in their conference. But let me go on this little rant here for just a quick second. So this morning, right before we hit record, I was looking on my phone and I got a notification from ESPN, and it said updated power rankings for college basketball. I was like, okay, cool. Let's see where they have Auburn. I'd be very interested to see where they have. I haven't looked at any of the power rankings previously to this week or any week. I click on it and I counted 6 SEC teams ahead of us. 6: Arkansas, Kentucky, LSU, Florida, Alabama, and somebody else. I kind of stopped paying attention. 6 SEC teams. I'm like, okay, what have they looked at that has made them put 6 SEC teams in front of Auburn? They have teams that had 2 losses in front of us. They have teams that have a really bad loss in front of us. I just don't.
You mean to Iona?
I don't. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, the Gales. I don't understand. I think people need to start taking this team seriously. I think some people get it that when Alan Flanagan comes back, this team is going to be different, like really different, like Elite 8 type of different. But I don't think we're there yet. And I don't think people are understanding that we're there yet.
So that's the AP poll. And let me soothe you a little bit. It's a bunch of sports writers who have just watched scores.
Yeah.
And so it means nothing. We're 21st in the AP poll. That's a drop.
Mm-hmm.
However, we're 16th in KenPom. KenPom is what you need to watch because KenPom is the power rankings. That's what the committee uses. And being 16th in KenPom, I know that we're 16th and Alabama's 22nd in that ranking. But yet Alabama is 16th in the AP, and we're 21st. And I haven't seen anything again to pick on Alabama. They lost to Iona.
Yeah.
Don't pay attention. It's too early in the season to pay attention to what sports writers think is happening in the basketball.
Do not pay attention to them. Do not pay attention to people tweeting about. Just focus on your team. And this team is going to be good. They're going to get even better. They're going to mesh together. They're going to get one of their best players back. They're going to get an SEC Player of the Year candidate back, in fact. And they're going to be great. But I'm excited. I'm going to put you up to a little tournament MVP. I want you to give your thoughts, and I want you to consider all three games, and I want you to consider the stats. I want you to consider how they played. I want you to consider the outcomes, and give me your tournament MVP from this game.
From this tournament.
Yeah.
Who did you have as MVP for the Syracuse game, by the way?
The Syracuse. Oh, that's a great. Oh, Jabari.
Okay. Well, then I've got to pick somebody else. Let me do that first. Let me pick somebody else to be my MVP. I do KD on that
one. Okay.
All right. So tournament MVP.
Yes.
And I get to go first.
Yes. This time you can go first.
I will stick with what Bruce Pearl said. Bruce Pearl said number 10 was the best player in the tournament and proved it.
Yep.
And Walker Kessler was the best rim protector at the tournament and proved it. So I'll go with Jabari. The kid has just been, he grew up, and I hope
he's
he
going to grow up
continues.
even more.
Yeah. So I'll go with number 10, especially when I saw him have the fire to go over to the opposing coach and let him know that they messed up by not guarding him out the three.
Yeah. That's a good one. Okay. I thought about Jabari because I completely agree with Bruce. He was the best player in the tournament. And you said, just like Bruce said, Walker was the best rim protector in the tournament. I'm going to go with the best defender in the tournament. And it's not close. It's not anybody else but Katie Johnson. Here's the reason we were in that UConn game. He scored a career high. He averaged 4.5 assists or 4.5 steals per game. That is world.
Those are numbers that you don't see anywhere. Yeah.
He hit double digits in every single game that we played. Or no, not the Loyola game. He had 7 points against Loyola. He shot the ball from the free throw line incredibly well. He was attacking. He grew up. We talk about Jabari. We talk about all these young guards growing up. We talk about, the only guy we really don't need to see grow up is Zepp, in my opinion.
I agree.
Because he's the only one that doesn't really need to grow up. But KD grew up. KD showed why, just like you said earlier in the podcast, he showed why teams are going to have to worry about him.
Yeah, they better, especially if they're standing with their back to the basket in the high post, because he's coming.
Yeah.
And he's not guarding you, but he's coming. He's going to take the ball from you. And he's going to, look, 4.5 steals a game. He's up to 20 steals so far.
Yeah.
I think the leader in the country as of at the end of our last game, I think they said that somebody was leading the country. I read it somewhere with 24 steals, but had played 2 or 3 more games.
Yeah.
So, he'll get 24 steals. Hopefully he'll get 4 more steals when we play Central Florida on Wednesday night.
Let's talk. That's a great segue right into this. A revenge game against UCF on Wednesday night in Auburn Arena at 7 p.m. And the motivational speech here for Bruce is easy. That team whipped your butt last year.
That was a frustrating game to watch.
It was so frustrating to watch. You just could not hit the broadside of a barn door. It was so bad.
That arena was dark. It was just we couldn't make anything. Flanagan didn't play well. Nobody shot the ball well.
Yeah.
We'll be at home. You're right. It's a chance to go, hey guys, this is the team that beat you last year. That shouldn't have.
Yeah.
We had just come off a tournament where we played Gonzaga and I don't know who else, but the Central Florida should not have beaten us last year. and they did, and they beat us. I don't remember the score, but it felt like it was by 100.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, we need to come back. Their tallest player, 6'11". They don't have anybody else over 6'6".
Okay.
So 6'11" is going to guard Walker, who's guarding 10.
Yeah.
So that they're good shooters. They got beat by Oklahoma this past weekend at home. Oklahoma's a pretty good team, so that's not a bad loss for them. They shoot the ball pretty well from three. They cause turnovers, but from what I looked up, they commit a lot of turnovers. And if you commit a lot of turnovers in the jungle, that place is going to explode, and you're going to lose.
Yeah.
So
I agree. I'm excited.
Yeah. It's an ESPN Plus, right? It's not a normal ESPN game.
Yes.
Oh, got me crazy.
Yeah, but we will be back to discuss that later on this week. We will try to get that out probably Friday, maybe this weekend. We'll figure it out. We will figure it out as soon as we can.
Got another game Saturday, too.
Another game
Yale.
Saturday. Yep.
Yale at home,
yep,
yeah.
At home.
Smart kids.
Yeah, that's right. Goodness. Okay. Okay. We will end it right there. Dad, do your thing.
I am CTO. I am CTO. I am CTO.
Go in and argue with him, tell him he's wrong on everything.
No,
just do whatever you want to his Twitter. Make sure you follow it though.
Look it up.
You can find me on Twitter at Gray Oldenburg or on Instagram at Grayo21. Until later this week or this weekend, War Eagle.
War Eagle.
Thank you for tuning in to today's episode on the E2C Network. On your way out, I want to remind you to stop by e2cnetwork.com. It's your one-stop shop for all our content across our podcast, YouTube channel, and much more. To stay up to date with us, make sure you're following social media accounts such as Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. While our content here may always be Auburn sports heavy, if it's orange and blue, it's what we do. War Eagle.